And to that, I call this meeting to order. I note that we do have a quorum with 5 members present, and we'll probably have some others join us in a few minutes. This is
Matt is about to join us.
who is? I note that we do have a quorum. Oh, hey, Matthew. Members present,
Okay.
and we'll probably have some others join us in a few minutes.
Hold on just a second. There's something going on that I'm hearing the YouTube at the same time that I'm on Zoom. Okay. I'm gonna X out of this and hope that it will still be in the meeting. Do you mind? Well, it's still live. Okay, it's all good. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I had 2 versions going at the same time. So go ahead, sorry.
All right, thank you very much. This is the time for an opportunity for public comment. We have had no inquiries or requests for public comment. Do we have any at this time, Martha, that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Hearing none, we will proceed with the agenda. Just also as a reminder to everyone, we are being recorded and we are on YouTube. In addition, there is a requirement according to the new considerations that we must call a roll call vote on every issue. All right. The first item on our agenda is our minutes. I hope everyone has had an opportunity to view the minutes. And if so, do I have a motion for approval as submitted?
I'll move.
Dottie moves
Dottie.
approval. Do we have a second?
Joyce will second.
Joyce seconds. Thank you. Is there any further discussion or any amendments? Hearing none, let's call the roll. Please say yay or nay. Ron?
Yay.
Matthew?
Yay.
Joel, I see you're with us. Joel, we're discussing the minutes. I hope you've had an opportunity to view them. We have a motion and a second to approve. Do you say yay or nay?
Aye.
Yay, all right. Donnie made the motion, and Jacqueline.
Yay.
She said
Did not
yay.
hear any opposed. So the minutes are approved as submitted. Ron, would you please give us our treasurer's report, please?
If you look at the budgeting
I'll let you
monitor
listen as well.
detail,
Okay, I could just hold on. I don't have to do anything.
Sorry, Jim Marshall is on my cell phone, so he's gonna be sitting here attending on my phone.
Oh, hi, Jim. Welcome.
okay. Of course, we got the quarterly county payment, so we have 25% of the total budget for the year, which exceeds, so our total revenues are 23.22%, and the versus the standard of 16.67%. The salary and benefits are at 15.6% versus the 16.67. The operating services, the main item there is the data processing services are higher because they have to be paid for early in the year. So they are, but yet the overall operating services are only 14.45%. The supplies are only 10.81%, other 3.24%, and the equipment is 0. We've spent 0 for equipment so far this year. So our total expenses are only 14.58% versus the 16.67. So our revenue is above budget and our expenses are below budget, which is a good record.
Good way to be.
I've looked at the
Very
detail
good.
if you want to ask the questions about it.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve this report as submitted?
I
Accept.
move that we approve the financial report.
Okay, Ron moves it. Do I have a second?
Second from Jacqueline.
Jacqueline seconds it. Thank you. Is there any further discussion or questions on the financial report as given by Ron?
I guess the only thing that I really want to point out is the first two items of revenue, copy fees and library fees are obviously way off because of COVID. We've been very, very generous in forgiving fines, and we haven't had the people in to generate the fees for printing, et cetera. So they're down below around 4%. So I'm hoping that that will increase during the year and then hopefully be offset by revenue from the Gracie payments.
Thank you, Martha. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, I will call the roll. I vote aye. Matt, yay or nay? Approval of
Yay.
the financial statement?
Yay.
Joel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Joyce?
Yes. Yay.
Dottie?
Yay.
Okay, hearing no opposition, the financial report is accepted as submitted. Thank you. Martha, would you please give us your director's report?
Okay. And under director's report, for some reason, I only have programming and outreach, but there's a whole lot more going on than that. Starting with statistics, I'm going to mute the phone here for a moment because it's picking up. Mute. Statistics, obviously way down from last year through August. Beginning in September, of course, we're going to have more people in the library, so it's going to be a big change for the better, I hope, with the September statistics when we have our monthly meeting in October. And I ran a report just looking at the beginning of the fiscal year, July and August. It was confirmed that things are really dismal compared to last year. A 71% change in circulation of physical items, and then the borrowers that are down 65%. So at this time last year, there were, let's see, that was in July, 2,570 borrowers, and there were, oh, this is the wrong report, never mind. Circulation was 82,882, July 1 through September 1, 2019. It was 23,493 the first couple of months of this fiscal year. So it's not good, but it's getting better very slowly. As far as staffing, we say that we have selected a new public services supervisor pending pre-employment testing. In this case, we actually chose Jason Camp, who is a current public services associate, so there will be no pre-employment testing. It was we had some really good candidates. We ended up doing a second round where they gave a presentation, which turned out to be a good test, and Jason came through with flying colors. This is going to be a very popular decision with the staff. He's very well liked here. He does a great job, so we're looking forward to getting him on board. He's going to start next Monday, the 21st. And we're still looking at, because he's got the position, that opens up another public services associate position. So we're going to try to do our best to do interviews with an eye towards making multiple hiring decisions at the same time to be more efficient. We have staff that are going to be working from home. This is the beginning of the school year, finally, and there are a few staff members that need a little bit more flexibility because they have chosen that option of teaching their children from home. So they will fill out a daily work from home form. We've checked with the mayor and all that sort of thing, and just trying to do our best to be flexible because education is so important, as we know. Online programming, trying to mix things up a little bit with some different faces from what we had during the summer. I haven't gotten a chance to watch all of these. I did watch the Just In with Jackie, where Jackie Warfield, our tech services supervisor, is presenting a book talk on some new arrivals at the library, which is very cool. One of our PSAs, Brandy Campbell, has been hosting a songwriting workshop. Vanya Height and Swade Sharp, a couple of other PSAs, are doing some DIY programming online. And then Derek, I keep hearing these rave reviews for Derek. Silly Stories with Derek. I need to watch that. He likes to read things with a very cool accent. So check out our Facebook page and take a look at some of these programs. As far as the library, if you walk in the library now, all of the barriers and all of the, everything that we had going on for those months is all gone. It's very clean looking. I went on vacation, came back, and staff had really done amazing things with the library. I'm very, very proud of the way the library looks right now. It was very interesting the first day when people started coming in and there were people running around loose where they had been, kind of restrained behind barriers. So it's good to see everybody enjoying things again. I heard downstairs in the children's department, the parents are actually interacting. Since there are no toys there, we're not allowing that yet. Parents were interacting with their children and sitting there and reading the stories, which is a good thing. A few silver linings here and there with COVID-19. We're still trying to get the few meeting rooms that we intend to have available with laptops. We already have 4 meeting rooms available that are equipped with laptops for people to use who are homeschooling or otherwise studying together. And we should have those other 2 up and running in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll kind of put that out to the public that we're offering this in support of the school system in Austin Peay. We have about 14,000 items that are now out again. We've got to a point when we were real closed and really shut down that we're running out of shelf space because all of our items are coming back. Normally there's a certain percentage of items that are out. So we're getting back to where we need to be. So it's going to be a lot easier to shelf things when they come back in. Imagination Library, just an aside about that. You probably saw about the fact that we're having trouble making the funding to be able to deliver books in October. That went out through a news report in the Leaf Chronicle and other places. And then there were TV spots where Karen Morrow, poor Karen, on Labor Day was called by 2 different TV stations, and she came and had to do interviews and was a trooper. And we've been getting thousands and thousands of dollars in donations, I would say. Probably enough to pay for October, and the checks are still coming in. I received a $10 check from somebody today. It's just really sweet to see the support that's coming in. So I did want to mention that. And then for the in-depth part of this, if you all, let me change the screen here to what I call the doing the math spreadsheet. Can you see that, the special projects account?
Yes.
Okay, so I did this when we were doing a lot of spending for special projects a few years ago. These are estimates, obviously. And I will get firm figures before we spend any money, before I even ask you for any spending. Just as an overview, I want to let you know that figure on the top, 391,984.23, that is not correct. It's supposed to be 390,984.23. I made a typo, so it's $1,000 lower than that. If you look on your financials in the 3rd page, you'll see the correct figure. So my apologies for that. Just overall, I try to, I think, increase your comfort level with the spending. You can see that I'm asking for around $62,000 to be spent this fiscal year so far, and that's probably going to change a little bit. I want to reserve $300,000 of that 391 for the AMH machine. I think it'd just be easier to keep it in that account. It'll keep us, if there's some emergency or something we need to spend money on, it's sitting there, and it is also earning interest. What little interest you can earn these days. And then I show what's being spent, and then under that, deposit end of fiscal year. Now this year we got last year $207,000 of this private funding. I'm going very conservatively, saying that we would get at least $150,000 at the end of the fiscal year. Who knows what's going to happen with the election? But I don't think it would dry. I think it's January 1st is when that is calculated from. So let's say we get $150,000 more as the annual payout from the foundation. That puts us at $179,000. And then the actual balance still has that $300,000 underlying. So you've got close to $500,000 sitting in that account, and close to $180,000 without that $300,000. So safe to say that we would be very comfortable, in my opinion, spending some of this money to try to improve things at the library before the new branch comes, because I always have the eye towards making improvements to the main library as much as we can, because time just gets away from you. So starting from the top, you got the reserve for the AMH machine, North Branch, that $300,000, and then the t-shirts for staff day that you approved in August for $600. And those have been designed and have been ordered. The Tricia Bengal Consulting, let's take a look at that. And I sent you the letter from Ingram. And this is Tricia Bengal. I think I talked a little bit about her last time, that she has worked for National Public. She's worked for Polaris or Triple I, one of the circulation system companies. She was a regional libraries in Kentucky. She's got this very large breadth of experience that she would bring to the table. I'm really thrilled that she's working for Ingram now. And Ingram is where we get a very large portion of our books from. So I looked at her terms and I put together the cost and what she would do. She's going to send us a questionnaire about what we do. We'll fill that out, so she'll have a lot of background information when she comes to, assuming that she's approved, to the library to visit. So it'd be about $4,500 for the hours of her doing this analysis. There'd be one round trip. It'd probably be less than $100. So I'm looking at $4,600, and this is part of our strategic plan as far as taking a look at operations. The most efficient way to staff the library. Hard decisions may have to be made resulting from this, but I think she'll be a very good person to give us the hard truth about what we need to do moving forward. So that's one of the things that I'm going to ask you all for today, and I thought I'd just go ahead and talk about it so you'd know. The next one is the teaming. Yes.
When she's going to do the consulting in reference to staffing, that's for both branches, right? The main and light branch?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the big things also is, how do we change our staffing with an eye towards the new branch, for sure. Yes.
Thank you.
And then what we're calling the teaming room is basically a meeting room for staff. Upstairs, it used to be the reference supervisor's office. It's been painted. The other vinyl signage, so there'll be the word cloud and what team means to the staff of the library, and we got them to give their input on that. And then the other large words that would say play, imagine, all that sort of thing in the children's department. And then we have a quote that we want to put up as staff come in the back door that says the most important asset of the library leaves at night, the library staff. So all that together was $1,400. And it's under $1,500, even though I was trying to get quotes. We don't necessarily have to have quotes if the threshold is $1,500. Sterling Signs gives excellent prices compared to other sign companies in town, to be sure. So to cover that project, it would be $1,400.
Thank you.
$1,380, so I'm rounding up to $1,400.
Martha, I know these are under
would be-
new business, but while they're fresh in our mind, do I have a motion for item number 1 to spend $5,000 for the Tricia Bengal Consulting on staffing for the 2 branches?
So moved. Dottie?
Seconded.
Dottie moves,
My second.
Ron seconds. Do we have any further discussion on the motion to approve up to $5,000 for the staffing consulting? Hearing none, let me go through the roll and say yay or nay. I vote yay. Matt? Matt, yay or nay?
I think I heard him say yay.
Yay, okay.
I said yay. Sorry, I had to unmute
Joel?
my computer.
Yes.
Jim? Jim, you still with us?
I lost him. He disappeared from my
Oh,
phone.
okay. Joyce?
Yay.
Jacqueline?
It says yay.
Says yay. Okay, thank you. I heard none opposed. It is approved to spend up to $5,000 for consulting out of our special projects. Our second item is special projects funding for vinyl signage and consultant fees. Excuse me, and that's up to $1,400, as explained by Martha. Do I have a motion to spend up to $1,400 out of
I
special
so
project?
moved, Ron. I moved.
Sorry. Who made the motion?
I made, Ron.
Ron, and Donna, you second?
I'll second, yes.
All right, is there any further discussion, any questions that we wish to ask Martha on this issue? Hearing none, we'll go through the roll. I vote yay. Matt? Yay or nay?
Yes,
Joel?
Yes.
yes,
Jim is no longer with us. Joyce
Yay.
and Jacqueline?
She said yay.
Thank you. So that takes care of the one of the items under new business. Thank you very much. Martha?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. The next one I've talked about, if you've walked in the library, you've seen these signs that we've created in nonfiction stacks as a test, and we would like to complete that project. Looks like the price is going to be around $4,000. Then putting some new furniture in the teaming room. I don't know exactly how much that's going to be. I just put $4,000 as a placeholder. Hopefully it'll be less than that. There'll be a table and chairs to go around the table, and maybe 2 soft chairs in there. And those online credit card, I'm going to hit that really hard once I get through with this board meeting this month, and hopefully have that for you in October. It's a complicated thing, and I'm just trying to get the upfront costs and know what it's going to cost on an ongoing basis. So those would be the October asks if everything goes well. And then the kitchen renovation, I doubt that it's going to be $20,000. I'm kind of hoping that they will say that they could also work on the restrooms as well back there. But the whole thing, the staff kitchen is just so awful at this point. I really want to get that done sooner rather than later, if you all agree, before the end of the fiscal year. And then I talked about there needs to be another fan coil unit in the teen area. It's going to take me a while to get these HVAC people to bid. It's like herding cats to get them to do much of anything. So again, hoping that $20,000 is an overestimation for that. The other thing about that is the special projects private funding is supposed to be used for enhancements. I may go ahead and ask accounts and budgets whether we can take some money from our reserves and pay for the HVAC addition that way instead of using private money. We'll see what they say. It would probably be more appropriate to use public funding to have that done, since it's more of an operational necessity. The other things that are not on this list, go ahead.
I just said it seems logical that's an addition to the building and should be paid for out of the funds. So whatever.
It certainly needs to
check
be
into
done before next summer. Doesn't rise to the level of a capital project really to ask the county to fund. So I think we probably can get it done with a budget amendment with operational funding. So
Martha, can I ask a question about that?
absolutely.
This is Dottie. Since you've mentioned where the teen area gets the afternoon or gets maybe the midday sun more than
Morning sun.
other areas.
Sure.
And is that all that glass across the front? Is that low E glass by any chance?
No, I think it was 96. I'd be very surprised if it were
Probably not.
any kind of
I'm
high.
just wondering if along with that, we might, if there's some kind, get that film that you can put on glass that reduces the effect of sunlight as
Yeah.
much. I don't know. It just may not work, but I'm thinking, that could be another benefit to keeping the heat out a little bit better.
Yeah, I've talked about it with some people before, the previous county engineer, and
That was not ever mentioned.
One of the things is we like to have those shapes and things in the windows when you drive in for sci-fi and all that sort of thing. And we believe that if we put the film up, that you'd no longer be able to see that, you know, which would be not that huge a loss, but it is a thought.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that would be a good thing to
Well,
look at.
I don't know whether it's, I'm not sure. Probably has a slight tint to it. So,
I think it does have a slight tint, but not enough.
Yeah. yeah.
I think
Anyway,
that's a good idea to investigate. But I think the main thing that's caused the issue is that there's not the same airflow because that wall was put up. I think that's really what is causing this
Mhm.
issue.
Okay.
Any other questions about that one? Or thoughts? So the other things that I probably will add, also depending on the cost for the kitchen renovation, et cetera, is that we're going to have an interactive areas in the children's department at the branch. And we'd like to we have these beautiful, colorful, bare walls, and Gracie would love to see, and I would love to see some interactive wall put there. And there's one that costs about $4,000 that we could probably purchase this year, if you all agree. So that's another thing we can look at. And then Christina's had the opportunity to have tuition paid $4,000 per year for graduate school. It looks like she's getting closer to taking advantage of that. It does run out. When she was hired, there was an agreement for $4,000 a year that would run out on June 30th of 2021. So she could take advantage of this in the next 9 months. And then if you all wanted to look at approving something like that moving forward, we can talk about that. Maybe once she's accepted into graduate school. So that's my presentation about this. Do y'all have any questions or thoughts or comments about it?
Yeah, thank you, Martha. That's very clear. Thank you. And I really appreciate you giving us a heads up for where we're going in the future. I think that
I don't like surprises, so I try not to surprise people if I can.
Thank you. Cecilia, tell us what's going on with Red River Region. I miss you guys.
Oh, we miss you too. It's a very strange time, and we've had our regional meetings, but we haven't really had them in person. So hopefully we'll be able to do that soon too. So it seems like we're moving forward a little bit anyway. Let me just give you my report. Don't have too much to talk about today. I did send out the executive order 60 to you guys a while ago, and then also sent out an email about vote by email and that advice. So I saw that Gerald has been sending them out, and you have been discussing that, so I really appreciate it.
Cecilia, I'm having a little trouble hearing you. What was the first thing you said about executive something?
Executive order is just the one for virtual meetings. I'm having some emails coming in, so that might be messing up my sound a little bit. Okay. To deal with that, but and then we also sent out an email about vote by email that we had discussed here a little bit and at the State Library. So I appreciate Gerald just taking that on and discussing that with the board members and with you, Martha. The public library survey is open. You know that well now. It opens every year. Usually around this time. It's open in September. Martha will fill that out or complete that, or she will be working with Jessica on doing that. So we're excited about that happening. That's kind of a big deal for us. I used to work on that survey when I worked at the State Library. So for me, this is kind of an exciting time. And we have some directors coming into the library to on that. Maintenance of effort came back to you, I believe. So that should be over for you guys at least this time around. So that's good. We have started a monthly check-in with the directors, just using the WebEx. So we're excited about doing that. I think that's especially now when we don't get to meet each other in person very often. It's really important that we check in with each other, and we'll do that. All of the directors in the region will. We are having our first in-service on October 6th, and the invitation went out today. Andrea Fanta from National Public is going to do that for us, and she's going to talk about public. So we are happy that she's doing that for us. She has a interesting background in her just in marketing and public relations, and also has some went to university in Australia as well. So I think that's an exciting part of her bio. One thing that has come up lately, and really not the big topic, but we have been discussing construction grants. So I'm just kind of throwing that out to you to see if that's something that you will eventually apply for when you get to that point in your North branch. So I just want to throw that out here. I don't expect you to say that you are or you're not at this very moment. I just want to make sure that I mention it.
Yes, I
That
do
is
have it on the to-do list on my board. I intend to start filling out as soon as the commission approves construction funding money.
Okay, that's great. And we'll talk more about that. I mean, it's much easier than it used to be, the whole process of that. But it's just something we keep an eye on, because there are several projects going on around the state right now. So we need to just pay attention to that too at the state level.
And that's at least it used to be a maximum of $100,000 in state aid.
That's right.
In reimbursements, it's not a direct grant, it's a reimbursements of construction.
Yeah, exactly. So we can talk more about that when we get some more information on how much money is left and what year you will be looking at and stuff like that. But apart from that, I don't think we have too much other things to report. If I have any questions from you guys.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. We're doing our best to follow these rules, you know.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful when I see your emails going out immediately. It doesn't happen everywhere, I can tell you that.
As far as the Friends report, Jennifer could not be with us today, and she has asked Jacqueline to make the Friends report. Jacqueline, would you please?
Well, you have to come over here if you. She's going to walk over here to my computer.
Hello, everybody. Jennifer wanted me to pass along the fact that we did not have any requests from the public library, so we don't have anything to report there as far as gifting from the Friends group. We do want to stress the fact, though, that we are, due to the fact that we have decided to cancel the October book sale, we are strongly and actively looking for alternative fundraising programs that may be reasonable for us to attempt to do. And that's basically where we are at the moment. That's all she wanted me to pass on to y'all. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Committee reports. Joyce, do you have a motion to make in reference to policies?
Yes, the policy committee met on September the 11th, and we reviewed policy updates, and we recommend the approval of those.
Now, I think we need to mention that Martha has sent copies of those via email to all board members. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so Joyce is making a motion to approve the policies that have been thus far reviewed, and we will note that some others will be reviewed later. Do I have a second for approval of those policies?
I spoke up, Gerald. I was on the committee, so I'll second that.
Donnie, thank you. Are there any questions that anyone might have on the policies? I would point out that the large one, the financial document, we spent much time on, probably an hour or more. And we went over it line by line and made sure that everything was strictly up to par. I think Martha did some checking with the county to make sure that we were in compliance with everything with them. And so that was a really big one. And I will say that much effort went into it. If there are no questions and no other discussion on the policies as have been distributed to the board, all those in favor, whoops, let me go by roll call, excuse me. I vote aye. Ron? Yay or nay? Ron, are you with us?
Yes, aye. Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you that time. Matt?
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
Jim is no longer with us. And Jacqueline?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so the policies as have been reviewed thus far have been approved. And Martha, I think your usual practice is to now get clean copies and distribute all the clean copies to the board via email. Is that correct?
Yes. And I really appreciate everybody's time, and in that meeting, it was intense. So thank you. I think there's the building committee was above the policy committee. I just want to make sure you see that on the agenda.
I saw it. I just wanted to go ahead and get the motion going. Building committee, we need to set a date. Is that correct? Or do you just want to distribute the form?
We just distribute the forms, and then I just go over them. I collect them, or I'm missing the word for what I do with them. Collate them, but it technically does fall under the building committee. So I could send that to the chairman of the chair of the building committee when I get through.
Okay, thank you. And once the building committee reviews them, are we going to distribute them to the board, entire board again? I think that's the usual practice.
We certainly can. Is that what you like me to do?
I personally would like to see the entire board continue to look at our library for images and so forth. Several times we've gotten some really good input and some suggestions from some of them. So I would, once the property committee, building committee looks at it, I would really like for the rest of us to see it if possible.
Okay. The one you mentioned date, we did talk about a date for the next meeting of the policy committee. There's still a couple of, there's one that is sort of controlled by the region as far as when they want us to update it. And there's some other policies that are smaller policies that still need to be updated. So I think we need to have another meeting for that. And October 15th at 3 p.m., Thursday, October 15th at 3 p.m. was mentioned. And I want to make sure that was okay with, I think Dottie had to check on that.
And I neglected to do so, and my calendar isn't with me, but I think
Tell me that again, please.
Thursday, okay, sorry.
Thursday, yeah, the 15th.
15th at 3
That
p.m. is
should
what
be
we had
okay
set
for
up.
me. I think that's okay for me.
Okay. And then there would be another policy committee meeting in the spring, give you a break over the holidays, and then we'd meet in the winter or late winter and talk about the employee handbook. Again, that's been recently reviewed, so there shouldn't be a ton of stuff that would change.
Thank you. Who's the chair? I'm sorry, I don't have my book open. Who's the chair of the building committee?
Jason?
Did not bring
Jason?
it. Jason, okay.
I have to send Jason an email stating we need to set up a meeting date then. So, thank you.
He's not here.
Under old business, Martha, I know you have some great information for us in reference to the library update.
Okay, so after meeting with HBM, who have been talking to Codell is the construction manager firm and going over some pricing. Codell has been a little bit disappointing in the way that they've priced things. They've missed some things. Some pricing was doubled inadvertently, so HPM has kind of gone back and checked on these things. Right now, we're about $2 million over what we expected to ask the commission for, which is 10.4 at the moment. And I have to go back and see if that means, because you asked for 10.4 to get the construction going and then another million basically for the things that go inside the building with the exclusion of the AMH machine. So what we're looking at, and we had a meeting with the mayor, just the mayor and Codell and the county engineer, just kind of frankly discussing what's going on and why did things go up. The mayor was very concerned about things and wanted to make sure we're looking at trying to take $1 million out before we even go before the commission, before we go back to the mayor and talk to him again. And there's some big ticket items that can be looked at. It's an unusual design. It has some expensive parts to it. One of the expensive parts is the entryway, because it's glass, it's curtain wall, and it's a very striking entryway. It's not like any other building that Montgomery County has built. So that on its own is $700,000. The ceiling, some of the ceilings inside that are wrapped in metal to look like wood are expensive. Some of the outside cladding is more expensive. These are specialty projects. So there are some things that we can look at as far as different materials. My disappointment comes when you consider the fact that the reason that we went with having a construction manager on board instead of just designing the library, bidding it out, and then hiring a construction firm is so that they would take a look at it and say, hey, look at this thing that you've got for the entryway. Look how expensive it is. Why don't you consider using a different material, or during the phase where we're doing the drawings of it. And so it's a little odd to me that they waited until we got to the 95% drawing stage to tell us that, hey, this entryway is a little bit, it's specialty. Maybe we need to look at it. But that's water under the bridge now. So what we're going to do is HBM is going to go through in depth and look at everything, see what different types of materials can be used for different situations. And we'll come back with a plan. They'll present it to me as partial owner and Christina and Nick, see what we can come up with. So we'll give you an update next month on how that goes. The really good news about this is that the mayor is saying that he thinks the revenues are looking good and that the commission would be able to look at this again in January or February. So I think it's going to be a go, assuming we can do what we need to do to get it back closer to budget. I can't read my notes. We will also have better pricing. Imagine if we had it approved for $10.4 million in July or in June, and we found all this stuff out after we started construction and had to do a lot of value engineering. It would not have been pretty. So I'm glad that we're facing these types of things and getting things changed before we ask the commission for funding for this. So that's a good thing. At the end of the meeting, the one thing I said is I wanted to try to preserve the integrity of the design of the building. It is an unusual building. I think it's going to be something that people are going to want to show people that are visiting from out of town, for example. We want it to be a really unusual and beautiful library. That doesn't mean that it has to cost the earth. I think you can do that same thing and still be within certain spending restrictions. We didn't realize how expensive some of this stuff was, so now we know, and hopefully we can redesign. Or the other problem is that when you do a fair amount of redesign, HBM is pushing to be paid for that, so it may be up to $70,000 to do these redrawings for all this, but there may be some pushback on that. But Kevin Kennedy at HBM is optimistic that we can get this materials changed and make the changes that we need to try to get at least that $1 million down. Possibly ask the commission to approve $1 million over what we originally thought it was going to cost, because lots of things have changed since then. So that's where we stand right now with the branch. Do y'all have any questions or comments?
I have a question, Martha, and it may be wishful thinking on my part. If we got approved in, say, January or February, is there then the possibility that we could start construction in May like we had thought about last year?
I would hope that construction would start. And I guess if the funds are available, that's always the big thing. If there are funds that are available, I don't see why it wouldn't be able to start within a month or two after it was approved, have the groundbreaking. But I don't know that for certain. That's the way it would have been had we moved forward before. I guess part of it depends on if it is a bond or whether it's, if it's a tax hike that they have to get approved, or whether it's paid out of the capital funds that were approved for this year. They'd probably have to amend their budget to bring more of the funding back into capital projects. But I would hope within a month or two of approval that we would be able to start construction.
Well, that is great news.
Martha,
I have a question.
go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead,
sorry,
Bob.
Ron, did I cut you off?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you mentioned, and I have an idea. I'm quite certain my concern is also your concern, Martha, but you talked a lot about aesthetics, but also function is, the design appeared to be, to us, very functional for the objectives that were there, as far as the children's area, the adult area, whatever, and I just wanted to be sure that nothing in terms of function was sacrificed as well in the alterations that we'll be looking at to try to control the cost a little bit better. So any comments, anything to?
I don't think any of the changes will affect the function at all. I think there'll be more aesthetic for sure, but when you take the long view, and also durability is one of those things. You want to have for example, the sheathing that you have on the building, you don't want to have to go back and change that or have any maintenance on it for 20, 30 years. And that costs more up front, but it's worth it in the long run. The other thing is it's not just a building, it becomes an advertisement for the county and for Clarksville for people to stay here and live here and continue this growth pattern that we have. And you have to consider that as well.
All right.
So.
Was the fee for the construction pricing agent part of the package price, I guess? Did they actually earn any of that since they?
Yeah, they've done a lot of pricing and a lot of internal bidding with their usual vendors, and so they have earned their money to a certain degree. But it was all part of what was approved originally as part of the design package, as I understand it. So I don't know that Codell has to do anything. It's really HBM as the designer. They're very specific, and they would redraw all the stuff that's involved. Because if you don't redraw it and you get to construction, then you get to where you have to have a change order, and change orders are very expensive.
Yes.
So you want to avoid that.
Martha, I have a question, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If the understanding was that this construction manager was going to look out for the pricing, why did he have an explanation of why he didn't speak up sooner? In other words, that's what I would ask. Where were you?
That's kind of what I was relating to. Yeah.
I think they owned up not in a big way towards the errors that they'd made in pricing, but it was just it was a different kind of meeting. I think it's a little bit of a blame game in a way. Those folks are going to blame the designers for designing such an expensive building, relatively speaking, to what they've built before, and then the HBM is going to blame them for not pricing it correctly or So at some point during a meeting, you just can't, nobody was going to go down that road. And I'm not experienced enough with the projects to be able to have that kind of, I didn't feel comfortable saying that during that meeting because I have no status really as, so.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Martha, you're on board again. How about giving us an update on our strategic plan?
Okay. So this is the colorful picture. I think I've got it here. Let me not just show you. Here it is, strategic plan. Can you see that on the screen?
Yes,
Yes.
I have my copy.
Okay, so even with COVID, we've been trying to move slowly forward with our three-year strategic plan. The items, the notes and comments on the right that are in bold are the ones that we've actually been able to make progress on since the last quarterly update. So under goal 1, increase awareness of the library, public relations, and marketing, basically. We did produce that video for Facebook about the North Branch to kind of keep it at the forefront of people's minds. Every time somebody talks to me about it, they're excited about it. I think it's a popular project that people want to have happen. Although there are some people who still don't know that it's in the works. And of course, I had lined up library tours for other commissioners, and I haven't been able to have that. I should be able to start that back again, even though I can't show children's programming. So this will change quite a bit next quarter. Under goal 2, transforming for the future, we have been able to, during COVID, do a lot of cross-training, which is a big thing, especially looking to the branch, so that you're not just working the circulation desk or the information desk, you're working all the desks. And even the children's department staff started working the different desks to get an idea and have more respect. You want everybody to have respect for what everybody else does in their positions. But that was another silver lining of COVID, is that the library became more of a unit instead of being siloed into different departments. And that's been good. I think we'll probably, when this full-time position opens, there may be a couple of children's folks that apply for positions at the desks because they've worked them and liked it. Goal 3, expanding to a new library. So the one COVID-19 has delayed the capital projects request, obviously, until January. And then, but we're able to finish the design phase substantially. So that's a big, whoops. It's good progress. Well, I guess I need to be on goal 4. Goal 4, enhance services and programs related to our programs here and developing new programs for the new branch. We did buy the new interactive children's computers, so that's a good thing, and they have been used by people. That's one thing that is able to be used in the children's department. One thing we've actually completed from the strategic plan is finalizing the teen space. Of course, it will change in the future, but for the purposes of this plan, we've got, I think, pretty much everything we need at the moment to make it a comfortable area to be in, other than the HVAC, of course. The maker space, we've got the laptops all set up. Of course, right now we're using them. We're going to be using them for other purposes than what they were intended to help the school system. The maker kits are cataloged, ready to go. And then the bolded part in the last one, ensure library's technology remains current. I will be showing you the new technology plan, replacement plan for the next 3 years in October for approval. So Jordan has worked very hard on doing a complete inventory of all the technology in the library. And I've that used to be my baby, and I'm thankfully handing that over to him. He's such a good, thorough person. I'm so glad that we hired him. And then goal 5, foster and develop resources for public support of the library, partnerships, and volunteers. This is the 3D. We did show the mayor the 3D presentation. He did like it, as I told you last month. He suggested that we have a separate contract for cutting the grass there and cleaning all the glass that's going to be at that library. And then really exciting the maker kits are going to be distributed to more elementary magnet school, hopefully in the next month or two, to give some kids an opportunity to experience the $25,000 worth of, part of the $25,000 worth of grant material that we purchased with that Google grant. So we're still trying to make progress even through COVID with this strategic plan, and I will have another report for you probably at the November board meeting, since we don't have a December board meeting normally.
I think it's worth noting how many of our little white dots have moved into the good progress category and into the in progress. I think you're making great progress along the lines of the strategic plan. Thank you very much. Bylaws. Excuse me. Martha sent a copy of the bylaws out. Remember, we have to review those and reapprove them ever so often. We want to get that behind us. I had Martha sent those out, asked again in an email for any responses, any suggestions of changes and so forth, and I've heard none. I talked to Jim a couple of days ago by telephone. He said he did not have any. Are there any suggested changes, amendments, or alterations to the bylaws as they now stand that any board member would like to make at this time? Hearing none, do I have a motion that we mark our bylaws as having been reviewed and approved again in 2020?
I so move.
Is that Joel moves?
Yes.
Okay, second.
Second it.
Is that
Got it.
Dottie?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on the motion to mark our bylaws as having been reviewed and approved at this time? Hearing no further discussion, I vote aye. Ron? Yea or nay? Ron?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Matt?
Aye.
Joyce?
Aye.
Jacqueline?
Aye.
Okay, so these are done now for another 3 years. We have to do them at least every 3 years. Thank you, everyone. I think we have one more item. Martha, you want to talk about reapproval of the DAC Children's Gallery space?
So this is the gallery space that's right outside the boardroom, downtown artist co-op. We've had this for, I don't know, 5-7 years. And if Jim Marshall were here, he would say, yes, it's me that wanted to have it reapproved every year. So this is the meeting that we normally do that, if you want to continue on with having that gallery being designated just for the shows that are coordinated by Downtown Artists Co-op.
Do I have a motion to that effect? I couldn't hear. Who was that to so move?
Jacqueline
sorry.
moved.
Okay.
Second.
Joyce seconds it. Who approved it? I'm sorry.
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline moved.
Thank you. Okay, let me go down the list. I vote yay. Aye. Ron?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
Dottie?
Aye.
Okay, the space has been reapproved.
Yay.
Thank everyone. We're a little bit over on time, but not much. Please note that our next meeting is October 21, and it's at 3 p.m. However, unless the governor extends his emergency order, which is probably doubtful at this time, we will have to meet in person. And Martha had this set up for us one other time in the genealogy room, where we were able to spread out very nicely. And I think when we were talking last time, Martha said, you said you'd get yourself a microphone so everybody could hear you. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we would probably use the large since that's free now. I asked her to reserve that for the time being, And then we could use the microphone that's built into that room, and we can use the presentation equipment. So it'd be,
So it'd be the large meeting room?
yeah, and then we'd have more space and
Yeah.
have better technology.
Oh, that'll be great. So, unless we get approval from the governor for another virtual meeting, we will consider that we will meet in October 21st in person in the large meeting room. Is there any other business to bring before the board? Hearing none, I declare the meeting to be adjourned. Thank everyone for your time. We got a lot accomplished.
We did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to stop.